Good evening and welcome to Monday night's ILFL Soccer Night Show with me, David Joseph. Good evening. I've got my regular pundits here, Nanumir and Rashid Ali, to come and help me talk about football, but not just any old football, it's the veterans football which takes prime place this evening because it was the conclusion of the ILFL and Shanali Otis Veterans League, the winter edition, and it was more exciting in the First Division than it was in the Premier Division, and that's how it ended up. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in a little while and show you some clips. But first, I want to talk about the Premier Division. It was concluded pretty much a week ago with London Tigers getting the victory that they needed and Bromley falling away like that is. But this was the conclusion of some of the games that happened last Thursday at Mabley Green. Here they are on your screen now. Bromley falling away, they fell away and fell over. London Tigers came and just did the necessary on them and beat them 2-0 in what was a pretty ordinary game because then there was nothing to play for. So for me, this was the best game of the night. Sire Vets beating Beaumont Masters 3-2. Cracking game. I'm going to talk to the happy Rashid about that in a little while. Tower Hamlets Vets beat Abahani by 4-1. It was all academic what happened in the tables after that. But I want to turn to you, Nano, first. And I think my feeling out of all of the results that happened of late in the Premier Division is a lot of teams came good very, very late. Tower Hamlets started woefully, got better, but it was too late. Sire, they had a consistency and probably could have pushed on, but that good football came a little bit too late. London Tigers did come good in the end, and they got their rewards.
They absolutely deserve to as well. I think they did a fantastic job. They basically came from nowhere. As we know, in the beginning of the season, Beaumont doing so well. They were up there for a few weeks, and then Bromley came along, and then they kind of continued throughout the season. And then Tigers just came from nowhere, and they did a fantastic job. It took them 4 seasons to get there, and they got there eventually. So you know, it's better than not getting there at all. So which was a good thing for them. Sire, on the other hand, I don't know where they came from. Basically, they start a really sort of a iffy, start. They weren't getting any results at all. So it didn't look like they were going to go anywhere. People actually wrote them off. But now, I mean, if you look at them, they're right at the top, just behind Tigers and Bromley. We don't know what's going to happen this Thursday. It's something to keep a close eye on. And I'm sure Bromley will keep a close eye on them as well. With Tower Hamlets, a really bad start. But if they played the same team that they played last Thursday, then things would have been slightly different than
it would have been
different.
They were clearly lacking in players. And early season pace setters, Rush, I mean, I have to say, it's not a bad season for Beaumont comparing to the season before that they had.
I think similar to Hamlets, I think what you said about the players, every team had similar problems you can't rely on your key 7 players week in, week out. And when you miss 2 or 3, it makes a difference. But the unique thing about the Premiership this season was every team was really, really strong. And given it any day, anyone can beat anyone. And I think that helped London Tigers. They lost 3 games, yet they still managed to be on top because the other teams were taking points of each other. And I think Tigers took advantage. Sire were very good from day one. St. Catherine's they were really good from day one. Hamlets, we know champions for 2 seasons, were struggling. So I think this has been the most competitive Premiership in the last 4 years. And I think that's why I think this was the most interesting, and got to give credit to London Tigers for winning at the end.
Absolutely. That was the Premier Division as it was. Well done to the London Tigers. Like I said, you came good, did yourselves proud, and you are the Premier Division champions. But what about the First Division? It was all going on there. It was between FC Bondu, Stepney Vets, chasing each other as they have been all through the season. I have to say, they were 2 consistent teams throughout that division, or were they? We sat here a few weeks ago talking about Stepney coming in their first season, expected to go all the way and win it, and we knew nothing about FC Bondu. What could we know about them? Well, as if by magic, we've transported 2 of them into the studio this evening. So we have Halis and Aminor. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
They're here to talk about everything that is FC Bondu. But first, we need to see how they got on. There were two key fixtures taking place last Thursday, and there was all sorts of permutations. Bondu needed a win and needed it to be better than Stepney's, effectively, in order to win the title. What happened to them? Let's have a look at their fixture that happened last week. They were up against a very strong and late improving Mostin side. This is FC Bondu versus Mostin. So there it was. That wasn't a premature shot of Bondu lifting the title. That was, of course, London Tigers, who received their trophy at the end of proceedings last week, crowning themselves as Premier Division champions. But What you didn't see there is that FC Bondu's game was a draw, 1-1 against, like I said, an ever-improving Mostin side. And all of a sudden, it's like the wheels came off, guys. And you guys were always getting your results and turning up and doing what you had to do. We knew that Mostin were a difficult side. They were coming good at the right time. How do you go into a game like that? Is it difficult to get across the line?
I think from last week when we beat Stepney, we were still really excited with the result that we got. So when we get onto the match against Mostin, we were pretty confident. But I think in some respect we were overconfident. We were thinking that we beat them previously in the season, so this game we took it a bit more lightly than we should have. And as the game went on, as you said, they got better and better, and then we got a bit nervous in the end, and we conceded a silly goal, but they took it quite well. And then we got a penalty, and then we managed to kind of redeem ourselves and get a point. And I think we were always in the back of the mind thinking, if we lost that match, then it would let Stepney back in, and it would be completely off our hands. And getting that draw was really good, because that meant that the pressure was still on Stepney to get something out of the game between themselves and Weavers.
Tell me something, Carlos. The week before, let's go back to the week before then, the game against Stepney. You walk into that game, it's pretty much billed as a title decider.
Yeah.
How do you feel going into that game? You've heard about the Stepney name and all of that goes before it. How do you approach that game?
Well, the Stepney games definitely was one of the games that we knew from the beginning that that is going to be our chance to redeem ourselves, because we played them right at the beginning of the season, our first game in any sort of league, part of the team we created, and after losing with such a big a goal margin 4-1, and them just chasing them throughout the season, we knew that it's going to be a really tough game. After looking at the previous week when they actually came out with the team, which was like pretty much half the Stepney team, and when just before the game started, they turned up with every single player. Seeing that, the determination that they're putting into that, really spurred us on to really get a result. And it was definitely a tough game. We knew it's going to be tough. They're a very good team. If there was any team we knew about most, was actually Stepney. So we knew we had to get our get our kit on and really go for it.
You spoke about it being the first game of any sort, of any significance, as a side, as a Bondu. Tell us about it, just tell us quickly. Bondu, where's the name come from?
Well, let me explain to you what Bondu means. Bondu in Bengali is friends. So we are a bunch of friends that grew up from long time ago.
Yeah, we've I think between us we've known each other for a good 20 years.
Probably more.
Probably more. I think a lot of them have known them since sort of primary schools.
Yeah.
But I've kind of known them since I was 16, 17, so it's about 20, 21 years now.
Are you all scattered around, or are you in the same area, or?
We're more or less in the same area, but obviously we still kind of get together every Sunday. Victoria Park, there's a get together and we play football. And I think end of sort of last season, with the advertisement from ILFL saying they're looking for new teams to join the league, I think we were kind of talking about and seeing if we could take the park football thing to a next level. So
how does that come? You look at it, you've seen the Vets League, you've seen what's going on, you think, let's just go and join it, let's see what happens, or did you have an expectation, did you have a target?
I think within our team itself, there are a number of players who have been playing for some of the more established teams, such as Bowman and Mohammedan and all sorts of other teams who have already participated in the league. So we had some experience in terms of knowing what to expect and what not to expect. But as a team, we've never, taken part in something like this. So when you take part in the league, it's a lot more tougher in terms of commitment, coming to training and making sure you're fit and having the numbers on the pitch. Because one of the things that I've seen playing with some of the other teams is that it's really difficult to try and get a good squad of players and maintaining that throughout the whole season. And this is where you can kind of fall apart. But I think we did really well, because the initial thing about getting all the players together was that the motivation was there. Everybody wanted to play. Whether or not they were good enough, that didn't really matter, but everybody wanted to play. So everybody was turning up, even if they weren't selected the previous week. So that was really good to see. Every week we had 3-4 subs on the bench.
And what's your position in the team?
I'm a bit of an all-rounder. I'd like to think.
But where do they put you in the end?
All right. In the end, I was in goal. I think we did kind of look around and said everybody needs to play in their best position. So I was. We had 2 keepers in our squad.
In his default position.
So I played in goal, but on some of the matches I played up front as well. So I was happy.
I think Dave, I think what helped was their manager Jamal, who manages the team. I think he's played for a few teams like Shadwell and CAG in the previous season. So he had a knowledge and knew what to expect in this league, and he got the team together. I think a lot of credit has to go to Jamal, the manager for Bondo FC, for creating the team. Yeah. With his experience in playing for other teams like Shadwell and CAG, I think he passed on some message and made sure the team are prepared what to expect. So I think a lot of credit needs to go to the manager, Jamal.
Absolutely, and I have to say, look, credit to all of you for all sorts of reasons. I don't want people to say it was just the first division or whatever it is, but you scored more goals than anybody else in Premier First. Yeah. You outscored Stepney in the end. And where's your position on the pitch? You didn't get up front?
Well, no, I do. I do try, but Amino usually beats me to it. No, my position normally I started off as a central defender because it's a 7-a-side team. There is no central defender, so I started off at the back and ended up in the central midfield throughout the season. Jamal definitely, just to add to what Rashid Bhai was saying, certainly started the conversation. The passion rolls in his blood. Obviously, he's been playing football. We've all been playing football for a very, very long time. He mentioned about the ILFL League. He introduced us to that is some of the guys that he's been playing with. Amino's been playing for different teams also. So there's about 4 players in my team who played for different teams over the last 5 years or so. And Jamal was the guy who actually made us thinking that we could actually do something. And you asked something really interesting earlier on. What did we think when we were joining the league? To be honest with you, there's so much passion going out throughout the team. Every single member of my team knew we were going to do really well. Initially, some of the thoughts were like, we'll do well to be somewhere in the middle of the league. First words, myself, Jamal, I was saying that if we're going to enter a team with the passion and the level of commitment that we're going to put in there, we're certainly going to do really well. And there was never any doubt that we're first or second, obviously first being the ultimate goal that we wanted to achieve. Jamal definitely gets enough credit. I can't mention his name enough because he's done a lot for the team.
Well done. Well said. Anything you want to add to what you've heard?
I have to agree. I have to agree. I mean, Jamal is probably one of the brainchilds behind the success of being at the top. It's been a difficult season for them. They were up against Stepney, Weavers, some of the other team, even Mostin. With Mostin it was a draw, and to my disbelief, usually Mostin are a very defensive team, but to my disbelief, they were actually attacking. So the tactics actually changed and got them off guard. So, which is why they were, still fighting for the title after the game.
Do you know what? It's a great story. We're going to hear more about them. They're here for the second segment as well, so we're going to hear more about them, more about their brief history, and more about their future, what holds for Bondo, and more importantly, what did happen in the game that then happened with Stepney. Bondo ended up getting a point there, as you can see, and almost threw it away. Could Stepney capitalise? We're going to find out in the second section of the ILFL Soccer Night Show. We'll be back.
আপনারা দেখছেন ILFL Soccer Night।